It was quite interesting to see how the Wednesday and the Saturday races unfolded for the 8th round of the Formula A Championship for Pak'Cafan, round 8 Donington. And I was quite impressed with the drives from NearFear, No Not Really, and even Sinister and Travic, especially within the first Wednesday race when NearFear missed half of the practice session and ended up qualifying about a lowly 6th place and 7th place within the next race, and No Not Really qualifying 3rd after qualifying pole on the Wednesday race. Bullet making up a huge amount of time, setting probably one of the fastest laps recorded so far in Project Cars, a 105.9, or I believe it's a 105.8. The screen should pop up in a moment, and it was in fact a 105.958. So cutting it very, very marginal. Possibly could get into the 108's Bullet, and that should be, if I can find the raw standings, I believe his first pole. Actually, I'm not sure if these statistics are completely correct. I believed he had gotten a pole before this weekend, but it seems like this is his first ever pole position in the series, looking at the raw statistics that I have as of the 26th of November. So very good pole lap coming from Bullet. And now we can get on to talking about the Wednesday race, which was a strange race indeed. We had NearFear for the first time in the series qualify outside of the top 5. He ended up qualifying a 6th position. No Not Really getting, I believe, his second ever pole. And we had as well Bullet, I believe, in 4th or 5th. And Static in the 2nd position, which was kind of expected after the momentum that he had coming out of the first and second rounds of Spa, and where he qualified pole the first round and won the second round and the first round consecutively. So he successfully defended his title, and I believe some of that confidence really showed in the qualifying session for the first race at Donington. However, it didn't seem to mean all that much after the flag ended up dropping, and NearFear managed to launch his car up from 6th on the grid all the way up into 2nd alongside of Static Energy and No Not Really, who both didn't get very good starts. No Not Really having probably the worst start of his season, and Static Energy following suit, which ended up bunching up the field going into turn 1, which inevitably ended up causing a first corner collision between Static Energy and Travic. Travic then apologizing after the race after braking a little too late for turn 1 behind Static and running both cars off of the road. Travic was able to make up the time toward the end, finishing in 3rd position, but Static was not, and his race ended up going downhill from the first corner. A brilliant pass from NearFear going into, I believe, turn 7 or 8, coming out of the 2nd sector, lining up for the straight around the outside of No Not Really, taking a bit of the rumble strip as well on the 2nd lap of the race, and then leading a pretty good sizable chunk of the race afterward. It seems as if his race pace was a lot better than his qualifying pace kind of led on to, which put him in a spectacular position after all of the first lap incidents and the brake failures going on during the race to steal the first position at the end of the race when he managed to nurse the tires all the way from lap 26 to lap 40. So I believe he did about 14 or 15 laps on the softer compound tire, which is quite impressive in and of itself, and had the pace to keep the rest of the pack at bay for quite a while. They did inevitably catch up to him toward the last stint when he had way worse tires for wear. He had no not really on the back of him on the fresher medium tires, as well as Travick on the exact same tire, and he managed to hold them off for, I believe, a consecutive 5 laps. Amazing battle in between the three drivers. I can't explain how well that battle ended up going, with, I believe, even Travick overtaking NearFear for a good 3 to 5 seconds and then losing it going on the run up to turn 1, going around the final corner. He ended up holding the inside and just getting a better launch out of the corner, and Travick, having to hold the outside, went a bit wide and had to regather himself before he went off of the track. So very, very good race, and a race to remember for, I believe, the entire series between those three drivers, and massive respect to all three drivers for putting on that good of a show for us at the end of the race on a Wednesday, after having it be a little bit boring after the first set of stops. But on the Saturday race, I don't believe it was exactly repeated when we had the first lap incident between NearFear and, I believe, one of the flank cars coming off of the start. He did end up getting a better launch once again, but one of the cars did get a bunch of wheel spin and cut in the middle of the track, and they both touched, but it wasn't exactly a wreck. And coming through the next sets of corners, there were battles scattered throughout the field. However, I believe No Not Really Sinister and NearFear ended up driving through all of the chaos that we did see on the first set of laps, and they managed to finish in some pretty good positions, with No Not Really going all the way down into 4th after miscalculating his fuel toward the end of the race, Sinister taking 3rd from him, and NearFear taking 2nd from him, with Rip actually finishing about 30 to 40 seconds ahead of everyone else, only taking a 1 stop on the hybrid set of soft and medium tires and just nursing them from the first set of stops to the end. I believe there were other battles throughout the field between Stocky and Scott Meek as well, although the coverage didn't really focus too much on that. So it was a wonderful set of races to watch and be a part of for the 8th round of the Donington GP. It was in the fog, and the circuit was quite tricky, as it is possibly the hardest circuit on brakes for all of the cars, as we saw in the Wednesday race, where I believe 3 or 4 contenders ended up having complete brake failures, and only a few of them making it to the end of the race, being able to get the brakes serviced and have their cars out of the pits in time not to be too far behind the leaders to reach the checkered flag, as well as the exit to the chicane, where I believe quite a few cars ended up going off. I know NearFear in the second race ended up taking too much of the curb twice and then spinning on his third attempt to carry a bit more speed through the chicane through that section. No Not Really Travick had some trouble through that section in the first race when battling NearFear toward the end for on worse tires, and I believe a few other cars toward the rear of the field had some troubles through the chicane as well. But we look onward to round 9 of the Formula A World Championship, which should be happening at Dubai. Not my favorite circuit to drive on, however, it does seem to give a good way for some interesting battles, and we might see an interesting take on the setups come next time around. So if you like content like this, please be sure to rate and subscribe to the channel. Leave some comments. Let us know what you want us to do differently, what you like, what you don't like, maybe some opinions, maybe some discussion topics. Whatever you want, it can go in the comments down below, and I will be sure to read them and get back to you guys. Anyway, I am your host, Near, and I'll catch you guys all on the flip. Later.